This morning, we have come to brief you on a matter of public importance. And please, you permit me to read from an address prepared here already. The title is The Official Siphoning and Diversion of Over 500 billion naira of NDDC Fund by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission. Against the backdrop of the enabling law regulating the administration of the Niger Delta Development Commission's funds and assets, the federal government, through the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, has since 2020 engaged in financial illegalities that may be daily shortchanging the Commission and the people of the Niger Delta region. Believing in the anti-corruption mantra of the present government, a coalition of civil society organizations working with the Act for Positive Transformation Initiatives launched a campaign for probity and accountability on the Niger Delta Development Commission in year 2020. Thus far, the campaign has merely exposed the present administration, if I may say, as one that only pays lip service to the war against corruption, as it has failed to take any deterrent steps despite the volume of evidence presented. Rather, we have reasons to believe that the government took advantage of the campaign to engage in systemic feasting on the Commission's resources. Please note, feasting and not stealing. The Act establishing the Niger Delta Development Commission, without ambiguity, gave the Commission the exclusive power to determine how its assets and funds are to be held and regulated. Since year 2020, the Economic and Financial Crime Commission has taken over, albeit illegally, the role of collecting 3% of the total annual budget of all producing companies. Note, this is the major revenue source for the NDDC, on behalf of the NDDC, without remitting the same to the Commission. This was done without any legal justification and in flagrant disregard of the NDDC Establishment Act 2000. By this act, the EFCC ambushed the provision of Section 14(2)(b) of the NDDC Act. This act of the EFCC is ultra-vires of the powers of the EFCC provided in the EFCC Act 2004, of which collecting funds allocated by law to another body enacted by law does not apply. Curiously, in the course of a close investigation, the Anti-Corruption Agency appeared not to have created a dedicated account for this fund, fearing suspicion that the agency might have turned in a chunk of the fund into recovery for the federal government. The said fund cannot be classified under recovery and thus cannot be kept under government recovery account. Some concerned officials from the region have always been willing tools in perpetrating this illegality, perhaps for the satisfaction of feudal lords. The immediate past Minister of Niger Delta Affairs and the present Minister cannot feign ignorance of this fact. As recent as December 2022, the Minister, claiming to be working on an approval from the President, was hoping to access the sum of 480 billion naira from the NDDC Fund with the Anti-Graft Agency to fund some special emergency projects. Notwithstanding the prolonged inability to access the said fund, sources within the oil-producing companies reveal the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Mr. Amana, still encourages the companies to pay the statutory revenue to the Anti-Graft Agency, which is against the law. Of note, by law, the EFCC is not a revenue collection agency and thus cannot make itself one through the back door. The law only gives the power to specify how NDDC assets are to be held to the management and board of the Commission, not EFCC or any other agency of government, not even the Ministry of Finance or the Federal Inland Revenue Services. EFCC cannot assume the role of NDDC management or board under any guise. It is unlawful and illegal. What are our demands? One, the immediate discontinuance of demand for the 3% of the annual total budget of the oil-producing companies operating onshore and offshore in the Niger Delta, including the gas-producing companies. The refund by the EFCC to the NDDC immediately without illegal deductions of commission or charges whatsoever, within 7 days of all the 3% of the total annual budget of the oil-producing companies operating onshore and offshore in the Niger Delta state, including the gas-producing companies that have been taken by the EFCC on behalf of the NDDC since 2020. The EFCC should, within 7 working days, give a proper account of what has been collected thus far and make the same public for the purpose of accountability. And this, number 4, very important. While assuming that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will do what is just in this regard by returning the total sum collected thus far, we call on the Commission to release the fund to a dedicated NDDC account, not to be touched till after the general elections. And even after the general elections, the management of the Commission should ensure, that is the management of EFCC, should ensure that every penny taken of that fund, from that fund is properly accounted for. Else, they may release it to them and it will go down the drain again. This is for the people. The law that is